Warning.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
The following podcast features terrible jokes.
You know you can use Hot Wheels cars when you need to make a saving throw in D&D? Every car is die-cast.
Usually about board games.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
We had less technical issues than $1 million company.
All right!
This is Boards and Swords.
Good evening, Vietnam. What? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast featuring bad jokes, good folks, and some tabletop games. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Chris Renshaw, and right here, let me click the right button, is Mr. Philip Herbig.
What's going on, everybody?
How are you doing today?
Absolutely wonderful. We want to
Philip,
welcome y'all to Monday night, the Monday night live stream.
Philip, I did a thing.
You're gone.
I know, because I'm grabbing the thing.
Whoa! Hey! Chris did a thing.
I did a thing. Hey, with this microphone, I could talk with the box on my head.
That's right. You can.
So for those listening on the audio only, I may have purchased the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Scaventide box.
Does that make you the dick in the box?
If you say so. Sure, if it means Lady Gaga's gonna sing to me, then okay.
There you go. That's only on the golden rule.
Well, no, like apparently Saturday they had Andy Samberg and Lady Gaga up there, and they were like, "Oh, they want
see all that stuff."
And she sang for Justin's part.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we'll probably talk more about that in the bonus bits. But I may have gotten talked into buying the Age of Sigmar box.
Ah.
So if you start hearing stuff about Age of Sigmar, that's why. But enough about that. We've got some news to talk about, and then later, I sat down with Calvin Wong Tze Loon about the Mass Effect board game. It's another longer interview. We're talking like 45 minutes again. But that was one of those ones where I could have kept talking for way longer with him, and in fact we did. We chatted for like another hour about like Gundams and Batman and like our theories about Batman and Spider-Man.
Wow.
I recorded that, and it was supposed to already go out to patrons as like a filler thing, but you remember I said I hadn't touched this computer in a while? So like it's all edited. It's all edited and stuff. I just got to do final processing and
You just Control C, Control V, and boom.
But yeah, it's like I gotta remove, like trim it, and then like put the ID3 tags on it. You can't really do that from the tablet yet. So yeah, and even then, when I was talking with him, I texted him afterwards when I ended it, because I was like, I could have kept talking with you about the media stuff for like another hour, but like it was already like 11 o'clock my time, or it was probably close to 12, and I had to be up because I was going to be running a Marvel RPG for a bunch of kids in like a few hours, like bright and early, and I didn't want to be like. So let's just there's lots of stuff to talk about. But first, let's get to some news.
News.
If your wife had a dream living room that she wanted, would she be a golden girl? This was just funny.
It's so great.
So, tabletop artist transforms the Golden Girls into Warhammer 40k super soldiers. So, thank you for being a God Emperor is the tagline. By the way, I can already tell you you were asking about it. These are Adeptus Sororitas units.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was reading through and like.
Well, I didn't even have to read it. I could just tell on the picture.
Yeah, reading through toward underneath the Instagram post picture, there's like, this one is just this character with a different face.
Yeah. Artist Adam Hwennecke, maybe. Recently used his
Yeah,
love
we're
for
gonna
both
butcher that no matter what we try to do.
used his love for both 80s sitcoms and tabletop wargaming as inspiration for a series of figures, imagining the eponymous Golden Girls as battle-hardened warriors in the service of the grim dark future of man in Warhammer 40k. While not the most obvious peanut butter cup style pairing, the results are incredible. I'm a massive Golden Girls fan, so I can think of no better leadership for my Adeptus Sororitas. Oh my gosh. His dream was helped along by digital sculptor at tabletop company Black Site Studios, who modeled the figure's customs heads. Black Site Studios is you can get these heads, so you can make your own Golden Girls for a fee. I was just wondering if they. I was thinking about that company that we saw at PAX Unplugged, where they like.
Oh, where you
scanned-
put your own
Yeah.
fate? Yeah.
I'm like, could have done that. But I guess it wouldn't be this one. You get kind of like a cartoony-ish vibe to them versus like less realistic.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, let's see.
We want to welcome Hoser40K to the chat.
What's up? Sorry for being tardy. Won't happen again. Otherwise I had to
As long as he
modify.
brought enough snacks for the rest of the class,
Yeah.
we'll let it slide. That's
Oh my gosh, Sophia's purse is carried by the cherub. I didn't even see that.
I had to.
Oh, there it is. Okay. That's funny. This is I love conversions like this where there was like I want to say there was like what was it? I think we talked about it like Barbie Hammer where
That sounds
it was
super
like
familiar.
using Barbie dolls to like make Warhammer 40k stuff or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It was like a hashtag for a while on Instagram. Like I want to say it was like 6 months ago or something. So I love mashups like this. It's great. Like it was funny. I saw a tweet earlier that was talking about we need a kissing phase in our minis games. we need to have them to resist a little smooch. And then I responded, I quoted it and was like, okay, so my character has a seduction of 6 versus your willpower of 3, so I need a 2-up on this kissing roll. So, all right, moving on. I was working on updating our electrical system when I shocked myself. That's what I get for trying to keep it current. So FFG announces some change to their LCGs. So this is something happening.
Fantasy Flight's changing something?
I know, right? In recent fireside chat, FFG announced changes to their living card games with new current and legacy environments coming soon. Fantasy Flight Games is taking steps to rework their LCGs on a broader scale. They are introducing legacy and current environments to their cooperative LCGs like Lord of the Rings, Arkham Horror, and Marvel Champions. So, what they said is essentially starting later this What? Essentially starting later this year, older expansion products for our LCG lines will become retired, which means we will be no longer reprinting those products and they are no longer considered to be part of the current environment. So that'll essentially be the current environment will be the core set plus any other evergreen expansions as well as the newer expansions that have not yet been retired. This should translate to roughly 2 to 3 years worth of active expansions for a system. The exact list will be updated and maintained by FFG, and then legacy environment will be everything. So, I remember when this came out, everybody was very upset, like in the chats and such, because it's like, it's an LCG, it's supposed to be brr, 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 brr. But you got to figure, like, Arkham Horror, I'm pretty sure was a 2016 game. So we're 9 years in on this stuff.
That was before that.
That's a lot of product. And, like, that's a lot of product for a I mean, like, this is purely for a store. This is a store and distribution decision. Because, like, it's hard for a store to carry, like, you got this huge display for something that someone may buy like 1 or 2, but it's like you don't want to not have it because then the set's not complete or whatever.
Yeah.
And then on
100%.
FFG side, it's like a set goes out of print and then you don't want to print it and nobody buy it, or you don't want to underprint it, you know, like you don't have to worry about reprinting these things. So basically all they're just, I mean, ultimately they're just saying they're just going to stop printing ones that don't sell enough. Because like the ones like I imagine
sense.
Carcosa, because that one a lot of people, everyone loves Carcosa. Like that'll probably be one of the evergreen ones. But all the big favorites will get stayed, and then the other ones will go. Yes, Darren, you're fashionably late. Well, it depends. We got to you got to send us pics first.
That's right. Do a little turn on the catwalk.
Yeah.
Yes, card game version was released in 2016.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The original board game.
1986.
7.
Damn it.
By Chaosium.
Yes, I knew that. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all. See, it says introduced to make the LCGs more accessible and more sustainable. It's more appealing and manageable for retailer to keep in stock, and newer players are not intimidated, confused, and turned away by a never-ending wall of product. Go ahead.
It's like the Magic tournament ban list.
Yeah, but
or not. Well, I mean, it's.
You're talking about
like,
the rotation.
I mean,
It's a
Warhammer
rotation.
has all these different editions.
Yeah.
And like.
Well, it's a rotation. That's why everybody online is pitching a fit, because it's like it's an LCG. It's competitive. It shouldn't have rotation, but it's just not sustainable. Like they said, you know. They're gonna.
I'm not gonna keep. 100,000 packs in reserve.
Yeah.
Of some booster we put out in 2018.
Right.
In case.
And I mean, it's like there's going to be enough of these out there that people are going to, you're still, like, if you want it, you'll still be able to get it. It'll probably just be really expensive because scalpers. But, I mean.
Which is with everything.
Everything.
I ordered a new printer because our printer shit the bed. I looked up our model number to see like what some of the fixes were.
Yeah.
And the little like, hey, you can buy it now off eBay or something. $700. This thing was $150 when it was brand new.
Wow. Other Phil says you're a scalper.
Is that a ball joke?
I didn't even think of that. All right, moving on. But basically, I don't see. People are gonna bitch, but this is one of those like, company gonna do what company gonna do. Remember, Fantasy
and the
Flight
thing is people will bitch.
Yeah.
Because if they went the other way
Yeah.
and announced that they were just going to constantly reprint every single thing ever,
Yeah.
that's dumb. That's a waste of money. You guys shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Keep in mind they've been saddled with a bunch of debt with Papa Asmodee.
That's right.
So, I mean, on the bright side, if it means that if they are allowed to keep doing the game, then, you know, like, at least this is an announcement saying that the Lord of the Rings card game is over, you know?
Yeah.
There have been those types of posts. So, bitching is in our DNA. Yeah, pretty much. I invented a new spray to reduce bathroom smells. I call it installments. Yeah, this was something Philip and I were talking about. Like, why has this taken forever to be a thing? It only became a thing because I want to say GameFound and BackerHit both added it last year, and so Kickstarter was like, "Oh, we should do that too." But Kickstarter adds a pay over time option and a bunch of other new features for 2025. Pay your pledges in 4 equal installments every 2 weeks. By the way, I got to go back. Wait, it's the X-Wing treatment. I don't know what you mean by X-Wing treatment. You're going to have to explain that, because that was legit like they did a new edition. Like, this isn't a new edition for FFG. They're just saying that, like, they're not basically they're not going to reprint a set that's not selling well when it finally like dies. Like, when they sell out of that thing, then they're just going to be like, okay, that's in legacy now. And then they're just going to keep printing. And then they'll just keep making new stuff. But anyways, Kickstarter's laid out a roadmap of new tools and features for both backers and creators that will be coming to the crowdfunding platform in 2025. The star of the show for backers anyway, and potentially for creators too, is Pledge Over Time, a feature that will allow backers to spread out their pledge payment over 4 installments. Okay, the game being over, right? Meaning they didn't give it the X-Wing treatment. That's what I missed. So it'll take even longer to get your stuff? No, like, this is saying, like, you pay over time, you just pay over 4 installments. So, like, you pay over, like, 4 months, or no, 4 installments.
You pay over 2 months.
2 months. There
you
we go.
pay over 4 paychecks. Basically.
4 paychecks. Yeah. Meaning they announced they'll no longer be making the game, so we got the X-Wing treatment. So the new sets will be given, or the unpopular sets will be given the X-Wing treatment. That's what he means. I got it now. I'm on board. When a creator enables pledge over time for the campaign, backers will be able to split their pledge into 4 equal payments, taken automatically every 2 weeks. Kickstarters hope this will give backers more flexibility to choose higher reward tiers or back bigger and more ambitious projects. But by the way, also, I wonder if this also has to deal with the fact that Kickstarter is not making as much money in the tabletop gaming category, which is one of their largest categories,
Yeah.
than they have in years past. Because, like, if you look at the stats, BackerKit and GameFound did really well last year.
I was just wondering.
I think I saw one where it was like
we got the new platforms that
Yeah, it
stuff
was
is
like
moving over to.
6 out of the top 10 tabletop crowdfunding campaigns were on GameFound last year. I think I saw an article for that. So suddenly they're like, if we make it easier for people to spend more money, then we'll make more money. So
Yeah, that's not a, and it's kind of, it's one of those like hindsight's 2020 things.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, they could have done this a decade ago.
Yeah.
How long has Kickstarter been going on for?
2014-ish.
2014. I mean, we were right there at that giant booth.
Yeah.
At PAX that whole damn time. I don't remember, but yeah, I mean, this you can. What things in the world don't allow you to do?
I mean, every time I use Google Pay now, it's like, do you want to use Zip and pay this in an installment?
Yeah.
Which sometimes
Amazon does that.
Sometimes yes, but other times, like, no, I don't want to spread my my Wendy's purchase over.
Right, my $8.73 for my
When I bought some really nice noise canceling headphones for my St. Louis trip, yes, I spread those out over a couple of paychecks.
Spread it out a little bit, yeah, like that's. But yeah, this is.
And other Phil says layaway has been a thing since the 80s. This is So, but it's not going to even take longer because, like I said, you're going to get the stuff, or they're going to get the money before you even get the stuff.
Yeah.
It might be.
It's just that now that Kickstarter is going to be pushing more money before we fully pay off our stuff. Which, I mean, it's probably penalties and stuff hiding in there. And
right. It might be if you have. Hold on. I've got. Every time I turn my head, I get a buzzing. All right. So don't turn head. Got it.
Hey, Doc, it hurts when I do this.
It might matter. The only thing I could see this mattering is if you have something with digital rewards, where like normally it might be like 2 weeks to a month, and then you get sent like a PDF or STL files. Mm-hmm. You might have to wait till you like fully pay it off before you get it. But for most pledges, like when you back a CMON Kickstarter, they're going to get the money well before you ever get anything.
100%.
So, and it turns out that there are already some Pledge Over Time products live. Rock Manor Games, Starship Simulator, Star Driven Gateway, Mighty Boards co-op board game Fate Forge Chronicles of Khan, and this Asterion-inspired dice set by Brother Ming Games. Right now, it's limited to select creators, but will be available to all creators later this year, in this case by spring. So, and then there's a bunch of other add-ons and such that are Brian, but we're mainly focusing on the pay over time piece. So,
Starship Simulator.
I
Yeah. Take a look at what's going on here.
need a. Well, I guess that'll work. That's the Philip backs a Kickstarter based on this show. Days since Philip backed a Kickstarter based on this show, now at 0. So, but yeah, I gotta admit that there's definitely some projects I would have done this for. In fact, I've done this for projects before, where you back at a lower tier, and then
until you have the
you upgrade in the pledge manager. So I've kind of managed this myself in a sort of way, but having it built in would be kind of nice. So
for me particularly, it's the Ruby board game.
Yeah,
I would have backed it max tier.
Oh, I just got to show it again because other Phil's here in the chat. I bought a thing. So, all right. Okay, nope, still got some more. All right. Not sure if you were aware, but Gundam models were actually forbidden from being sold over here for a while. Luckily, that ban died. So we got some news actually about the Gundam Assemble Miniatures game. So when the Gundam game came out, the announcement and stuff, it was the Skaven Tide box set from Age of Sigmar, by the way, if you couldn't see based on what it was. We got very little details. We had a couple of pictures and a lot of assumption from pictures. But now we've actually gotten some details to kind of go with this. The Gundam Assemble is a tabletop strategy game where players use miniature Gunpla figures to create armies and engage in tactical battles. The core gameplay is focusing on the strategic unit placement, actually playing these objective-based missions. So it's designed to appeal to both hardcore miniatures fans and the casual fan of the Gundam franchises. The game draws inspirations from several miniature war games, from 40K to BattleTech to Star Wars Shatterpoint. Bandai is aiming to create an experience that's accessible for new players while allowing strategic depth for the seasoned gamer. So Bandai explained that players will be in control of a Gundam team. They will then use that team to play through a story-driven campaign with objectives linking individual missions. I think it's most similar to BattleTech, but so far it's a bit difficult to share the details. The basic concept is to play a big team featuring your favorite mobile suits. However, since this is a game based on Gundam IP, we also want to offer special scenarios, limited battles that evoke the original storyline to help the player feel more connected to the source material. So, yeah. I mean, this is kind of what a lot of we were figuring based on the details that were shown, but it's nice just having some feedback.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for so you know at Gen Con there's life-size Catan.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for perfect grade size Gundam Assemble.
Well, like I said, there's some unofficial rules out there for the 1/44th scale stuff.
Like as soon as these actual rules drop, we're gonna have like like scale everything up. A white base is gonna be the that's gonna be that like X-wing miniatures trench run at Nova.
That's funny. And also reminds me of those. I saw those perfect grade kits that I sent you the picture of.
Yes.
So, all right, one last one. So, if you date a male kayaker, are you having a romance? D&D Rival D&D Rival adds rules for dating the NPCs. Bards rejoice. Dungeons & Dragons competitor Pathfinder has a new book that'll spice up your love life in your tabletop RPG sessions, that is. So, on February 8th, Paizo revealed in a Twitch stream that it would introduce a numerical scale to represent how much a reoccurring NPC loves or hates your character. Oh, okay, so we have a loyalty or a reputation.
Yeah, there we go.
It says the smooch scale, as I like to call it, the article, the writer of this article, is part of a set of additional rules to make using NPCs more engaging and fun. The session on relationships is designed to measure how reoccurring NPCs feel about the party. It ranges anywhere from bonded to vindictive. It's perfect for villains to lovers story arc. This covers romantic relationships, but it also covers all close relationships, he adds. This section reportedly also features advice on how relationships decay over time. NPCs you grow close with are accepting of the reality of adventures in the adventuring life, so they won't go totally cold on you if you disappear for 6 months to save the world. Just make sure you have a cool souvenir ready for them when you return. And I believe, yeah, the NPC core sourcebook is where these rules are going to be. So
They totally missed out on an opportunity. Like, I understand NPC Core is the official name of the book,
yeah.
but we could have done a little bit of graffiti on that artwork right there and be like NPC Score.
The scale will always read annoyed. Maybe for your party. Our party. What was it? What was the situation in our Spelljammer game where we were trying to get 2 of the people to hook up? We were trying to get 2 of the NPCs to hook up.
Were we doing that?
I thought we were. It was like one of the quest givers with like the captain of the ship or something like that.
Oh yeah. Our like main contact was the
Was like the like ex-lover of.
Yeah, like
And we were
estranged not even estranged, just they. I think in our
Just
own like
X. It was
head
just
canon, they were hate fucking all the time.
yeah. But like we went out of our way to try and like get them back together.
Yes.
So, I mean, your group may always read annoyed. I feel like this is just going to make it so that every group's just going to be a bunch of. I feel like we need to do a Bards only Pathfinder game now.
And
You don't have to be lonely at bardsonly.com. Oh man,
Wait.
I'm gonna have to get this book now, aren't I? Pathfinder's new NPC core releases on March 5th, 2025.
Oh, all right, there we go. Mark your calendar.
So, all right, and that's the news. That's the biggest news. I got a couple other stories I threw in our show notes to talk about in bonus bits. That's only parts. That's what the adventuring group needs to be. Oh boy.
But they need to. They need to all be multi-classed.
Mm.
Like barbarian, druid, bard.
Well,
warlock,
yeah.
bard.
Or like different, all the different colleges and such.
Yes.
No. Turn on. No. Stop. No. Sorry, I was trying to pull some. By the way, do you remember when I'm going to bring this up here before we go to the news? Do you remember when I was talking about the you know what? I'll save it for bonus bits. Because I got to pull something up. So, but anyways, in the meantime, I would just say everyone should go to patreon.com/boards and swords, because I happened to do some prototyping recently. Check that sucker out.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So that is actually it's the dice tower that I've been working on. But it is 2 dice towers, so you can see, like, ideally you would have one for each year that you would back, and then you can. I made a little neck to stack them together, so you can just make an even taller one. By the way, this was the first one I made. Can you tell what's wrong with this thing?
Can I tell what's wrong with
This is my first draft.
There's no butt.
There's no hole for the dice to come out.
There's no dice anus.
Yeah, for it to poop them out. So yeah, I had to do some concepting to get it together, and then yeah, so I got some tweaking to do, but this is not far away. I just need some time to like sit down and just print a bunch out, and then this can be this will be heading out to patrons soon, at least. And everybody that's currently backing, at least most of them at least, will be getting the 23 and 24, so you'll at least be able to make a double stack tower. And then into next year, or into this year, you can make it go up even more. I don't know what I'm going to do about instructions, though. That's the part of the details I got to work on, because, like, I don't want to have to do instructions. But, like, also people need to learn how to build, or people need to know how to build their thing. So, but yeah, patreon.com/boardsandSwords for that. And so I'm going to turn it over now to the interview that I did, and we will be back on the flip side. So for record, this is Calvin. He's been on the show before, Calvin Wong Tze Loon. He and Eric Lang were the designers of the Mass Effect board game, and I was super excited to have him on the show again and talk with him. And now I'm going to cut to that. Hey everybody, I'm here with Calvin Wong Tze Loon. How are you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you for having me on here, Chris. Really appreciate it.
So yeah, it's been a while. So I was in. It's been a while since we had you on the show, and now you're not just another board game player / reviewer. You're in the big leagues now. Mister, I got my name on a box next to Eric Lang.
Yes, that part is pretty cool. I must admit, yes.
Not as cool, or just about as cool as like I think I had heard something about it, and then I saw the display for Modifius that had it on there. I was like, I recognize that name.
A couple of people messaged me when they saw that giant poster. Yeah, they were like, "Hello." Yeah, and I was like, "Yes, it's really cool. I'm really sad I'm not there, but it's okay."
Well, it's kind of understandable considering it's like half a world away.
Yes, and well, Modifius did reserve quite a lot for marketing. Like, it's one of the best marketing blitzes for a board game I've ever seen. I don't think Fly Calvin to Gen Con was quite on the... It's a large line item, let's say.
Yeah. It's like, do we air freight games or a designer?
I think the games. The games, honestly. If I had to pick one.
So, all right, I got to caveat all of this with is that I have only played the first Mass Effect game. And even then, it was just when I borrowed it. I was playing. It was whenever I got time to play on my roommate's 360 to get through the.
Yeah.
But I know you are a huge Mass Effect fan, so when I heard about this, I was like, that makes sense.
Yes. That's what Eric thought as well. He was like, "Oh, they've emailed me to ask me if I want to design the Mass Effect board game." Not really. I mean, not that he didn't want to do it, but he's just like, I don't know that much about Mass Effect. Like, I played the game, like you, like once. But I know someone who's
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy. Yeah, that's why I think it's really helpful to be that guy that people know. It's how I've gotten almost all of my gigs. So yeah.
So is that how this came all about? Is through Eric Lang?
Yeah, because Eric and I were friends. We met through Twitter, and then back when he was based in Singapore. He came to Malaysia a couple of times to see me because we were friends on Twitter, and then in end of 22, I want to say, he messaged towards the end of 22, like the middle of 22. He messaged me saying, "Hey, Calvin, Mass-ive board game. Mass-ive board game. They've asked me to make the Mass-ive board game. Do you want to make the Mass-ive board game with me?" Because he said he wanted to work with me on a thing. And I was like, yeah, how fast can I say yes?
Just copy and paste it a bunch.
I may have done that. I don't actually remember. But yeah. It was so like, I think like 6 months ago I went back and looked at all the like initial documents and pitches and stuff. And I think it's sort of funny and ironic because the game ended up being $50 box, pretty small, right? Some gamers are actually a little disappointed by that, which I understand, right? Like if you really love Mass Effect, then you really want and you're a big board gamer, then you want like $150, tons of campaigns, all your favorite characters, lots and lots of minis. I understand that you would want that and be a little disappointed when what you get is like a short campaign, $50 box, only 6 minis, cardboard tokens for the enemies. But the idea that we wanted to do was something, opposite of that. So in the initial documents, Eric actually had said to me, like, I think either in one of his DMs or one of his first emails for us, like, sort of settling our expectations and stuff. He said, I bet they want to do like a big, tons of minis, dungeon crawler, splashy, big box thing. And I was like, that sounds like fun, I guess, but also I don't remember if I said it out loud or if I was just thinking it, but like it does seem like a lot of work. I don't know how they make those. Like having made a small box game that took us like 2.5 years to do, I'm really not sure how they make those giant.
Like you look at something like Gloomhaven and you're just like mind blown.
Yeah, but I mean, I happen to know that they spent a lot of time on Gloomhaven.
Right.
Like full-time job levels for years, and it's a big team of people now. It's like, because I mean, okay, at the start it was like, I think Isaac, his playtesters, and the artists, right? But as the company's grown, he's got like developers and like people to handle playtesting and a whole bunch of dedicated playtesters. I love Gloomhaven, just want to say. I think it's a great combat system. I have no idea how they make it.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know how they make it, but I have no idea how they make it. And also, I have no idea, like, how did it become that popular? That's kind of ridiculous. Like, it shouldn't. It's like categorically shouldn't exist level of thing. It's like Eric was telling me, like, if we just reskinned Gloomhaven for Mass Effect, it would still sell.
Yeah.
Like the gamer crowd would be like, it's like Gloomhaven, but Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And they would buy. But that's sort of okay. So the reason that we made the box the way it is, and the reason that we went for the pitch the way we did, is because we wanted the audience to be primarily people who played Mass Effect and don't really play board games.
Gotcha.
Because Eric and I both believe that one of the things that's going to be really good for the industry is if we grow the audience, right? Because this is not a statement like I think good games, but I do not believe that Stefan Feld is like breaking out to a new audience every time he releases a game.
Right. You're just appealing to kind of like the same base.
Yeah, and obviously the base does grow, right? Like if I bring a game that I like and I show people, which I have done recently. Like some of my friends said, "Oh, Mass Effect, can we come and play it?" And they were like, one of them had never played a modern board game before. Like the first modern board game they'd ever played was Mass Effect. Like prior to that, it was Monopoly. And she was super into it. She's like, "Oh my god, this is so fun!" And she was really good. So yeah. But to go back on topic, yeah, we really wanted that audience to be the core of it. And obviously there's going to be an overlap, right? Like people who play video games, people who play board games, there is an overlap. So those people are also part of our audience, but they weren't our main thing, And then there's the BGG crowd, which, if they like the game, that would be nice. But honestly, we didn't make it with them in mind, because, like I said, if you sort of poll the BGG crowd what they wanted, they would have wanted a game that we would not have been able to deliver in the time that we had. Right? Like 2.5 years is not a lot of time to make a board game. And it takes even longer because everything you do has to go through BioWare to approve.
Right. The license part of it.
Yeah. So like it's not like, because Eric and I kind of workaholics. It's like at all hours of the day texting each other like, so what if we did this for the line of sight systems? Or what if we did this for the maps? It's like, how do you feel about this? Like, just like at all hours of the day, like I would text Eric, I would say, okay, he'll reply later, right? It's like 4 a.m. in Canada, and he replies instantaneously and he keeps going for half an hour because he's a giant nerd. But then, we're running as fast as we can, but every so often we do have to stop and check in with BioWare, like, okay, so you guys are fine with this, right? They're like, yeah, we're fine with this. Only then can we proceed, because if they're not fine with it, we can't do it.
You don't want to do a bunch of work to get thrown away because they said no.
They have to sign off on everything. Most of the changes that they requested for, I would say 99% of the changes they requested for were reasonable and made the game better. And even if it wasn't 100% how Eric and I would have done it, I think in retrospect, it ended up all 99% of the changes that they asked for ended up making the game better. So even the 1%, which is the one change that they asked for that I really didn't want to do, they asked us to take the romance out. And I was like, you can't have a Mass Effect without the smooching.
Yeah,
the smooching.
That is kind of like a big part of it.
but their rationale for it made perfect sense, which was, we want the characters to develop emotional feelings for each other over a long time scale, and not within one mission, which is what this game is, right? The game is basically like one mission from Mass Effect. And I was like, fine. Like, I'm mad at you, but also this is actually a really good reason. Yeah. Like, if I was in charge of Mass Effect, I would find this a reason, and I was like, I already wrote all this, but yeah, we took it out. We ended up keeping I
just think of the Winter Soldier where he's like, he's out of line, but he's right.
Well, no, they weren't out of line. They're perfectly within line to do. I mean, I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing, right?
Yeah,
they're not stating in a way like, no, screw you, take it. But also, we kept the mechanic, and just ended up becoming called loyalty missions instead of romance options. But it was exactly the same. Just had to change the writing so it wasn't framed as a, you get smooch Garrus. Which is okay. Okay, so what was I saying? I was saying that we wanted the audience to be... Oh, I saw this. To sort of exemplify this, I saw this unboxing video somebody posted, and he was like, oh, this is so cool. You know, I'm such a big Mass Effect fan. I saw there was a board game. I had to get it. And he was unboxing the video. He was like, oh, this is so cool. It's Liara, it's Garrus, it's my favorite Rex. I can't remember if his favorite actually was Rex. I'm just using that as an illustration. And then he got to the little plastic bags. He was like, these little plastic bags. I don't know what these are for. I'll put these aside. It's just so cute. It's so cute. Yes. This is the most complex board game I've ever owned. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell, buddy. And then somebody yesterday on Blue Sky messaged me and said, you know, I'm so happy you put little plastic bags in here for all of the components. My favorite thing about the game, I tell everybody about it. Because the last game before Mass Effect, the last game we got, I expected us to just dump everything back in the box. Yeah. I know gamers always say like, oh, these games give us way too many baggies. Or like, they're not really for you.
Yeah.
They're not for the nerds who have drawers full of baggies. I have a bag that's full of baggies.
Yep.
It's like a bag of bags.
Don't we all?
Only board gamers, though.
Only board gamers. And drug dealers, probably, too.
Quote-unquote non-gamers who buy a game and will use the baggies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I totally get that though, because honestly, like appealing to a different market, because I mean, like you put Eric Lang's name on it, and like already the board game crowd's gonna like jump on it, you know, no matter what the box is. So it's like you don't really need to caveat or to care that crowd as much, because like they're gonna come. And I mean, even with the Mass Effect crowd, like you put Mass Effect on a board game, they're gonna come as well. It's just a matter of, can you hook them to stay a while?
Yes. The good news is that in terms of, I'm paying close attention to what people who play Mass Effect but don't really play board games say, and I think that they like it for all of the correct reasons. Like they enjoy playing as their favorite characters, so then it feels like Mass Effect. Some of them are saying like, oh, you know, it's so complicated. You know, it was difficult for us to jump in, and I'm like, I know. Trust me, we know. We tried as hard as we could to push the complexity down, and I don't think we got all the way there. Eric and I think the game is still way too complex for the audience that we originally designed it for. When I say complex, complicated and fiddly is like the complexity level we're happy with, like the tactical complexity of, we want to achieve the mission, but we also want everybody to level up, and we also want to do the side quest, and we want to get the paradigm ending, and we want all of the loot.
You're talking about the complexity of the mechanics themselves.
Yes. No. It's like the start, like starting the game.
Oh, okay.
First play. Yeah, first play, and then like, what does this do again? You know, that kind of thing. Like we still think we could have gotten there if we had another 6 to 9 months, but that's just a reality of game development. Games are never finished; they are merely abandoned.
Well, that's also one reason why keeping it small works in your favor as well, because it's like, if you designed this big, you would have spent all this time designing this really, you know, like how many people have actually gotten to the end of Gloomhaven? Like, I'm sure it's quite a bit, but like I would almost wager there's just as many people that have like only played the first handful of missions, and then their group fell apart, or you know, lost pieces, or you know, all sorts of reasons.
So when we started, we instituted several pillars that we wanted. Like and this is actually very useful. People think that when you impose limitations, you're like taking away creativity, but you're not actually, because right at I think the very first or the second meeting, we were like, okay, we want to target a $40 box. That's what we initially went. We couldn't quite get there. We got to 50. Because Target didn't end up taking the game. Target changed business strategy, where they would not buy new stuff sight unseen. They would buy stuff only that was already successful. I think Eric put it as they would not start trends, they would follow trends or something like that. Also, screw Target. Yeah. So we wanted to have that low price ceiling right at the start. We wanted to have a replayable campaign right at the start, because that's something a lot of Mass Effect players do, which is they play the game. Some of them once a year, right? And they play it again. They play it again. They play it again. Sometimes they make different choices to see, like, other parts of the story. What happens if you do this? Some of them play it and just do the same thing over and over and over again, like a comfort movie, right? They're like, this is my favorite, like, route. Oh, Garrus, I love you so much. Mama. Yeah. So, we wanted it to be short, replayable, cheap. We wanted low setup as much as possible, which is why we had the map book. We don't want players to go looking for tile 13B. We wanted low rules friction as well, for the same reason. I didn't want people to be like fiddling with like equipment cards and be like, which I want the M87 Reaper. This is the M86 Reaper. Where's the M87 Reaper card? We wanted to minimize all of that. We just wanted to plop the stuff down on the table, put out a couple of tokens. But the good news is that so far everyone has said that it sets up fast. It's low barrier to entry. It goes pretty quick. Even the people who didn't like it because of those things, right? They say like, oh, it's too fast, or like it's not long enough, or like it's not crunchy enough. Which, like, I understand. I sort of said this when I was talking to a friend, but I actually really like the way it was phrased. It was just like, the right people like it for the right reasons, and the people who dislike it for the right reasons. Right. Like it was intentional that we weren't aiming this to be a Gloomhaven, right? We didn't want the super complex, super crunchy. Like, I love Gloomhaven, don't get me wrong. It's actually my favorite system in board games, right? Like, that combat system is so good, so crunchy, so deep, so elegant. But if you tell a brand new player of board games, like, take these 13 cards, pick 2, they'll be like, right? Like, there's a reason that even Gloomhaven, when they were trying to like have a tutorial like in Jaws of the Lion, right? They're like, okay, here's 6 cards, pick 2. Here's 5 cards, pick 2. And it's because, like, it's daunting. At first you're like, and if you play wrong, you will die. You will lose your first scenario of Gloomhaven, because it's not an easy game, and it's quite deep and rich. But the cost for death is complexity. So yeah.
Yeah, this guy here lost several times. It was many a time before I'm no stranger to board games. And even still, I had to like look up guides and be like, "Oh, I'm playing like the worst classes together." That.
yeah, but also, I mean, the worst classes can still do it. It's just that you need to have good grasp of like the concepts of the game, and like being able to understand things like, okay, maybe you don't need to kill all of the enemies before you open the door. Yeah. Or things like, okay, if I play this card that gets lost on turn 1, I've effectively cut 4 turns off of my total time to clear the dungeon, because if you burn the card on turn 1, you won't have it after your next rest, and then on your next rest you still won't have it, so it's like extra. Because I've seen players who are like, watching like Let's Plays and stuff, right? I've seen players like, oh, let's burn 2 cards in the first room to kill all the enemies. I feel great. And the thing is, like, yeah, that does feel great, but also you've Gloomhaven is actually like more of a marathon than a sprint, right? So you have to do the endurance thing. So one of the things that we wanted to do as well was with Mass Effect was not have any traps. You know, I'm not saying that what Gloomhaven does is trap, but it's just like because it's a deep system, players might engage with it and not quite understand the full thing. Like we wanted enough depth for players to be like, oh, you know, which is the correct choice here? I don't know. Both like with the tactical puzzle and also with like advancing their character. But the idea is that they would make a choice and it would still feel good, even if it wasn't the best quote unquote choice for their group or their situation or like the squad. What I mean is like, you know, maybe they're doubling up too much on damage and not enough on like team utility, or maybe they're like not taking enough damage, which is something that I have seen, and they struggle to clear enemies. But we built the game so that even if you do things like that, there are still paths forward to victory, and you can still feel like your character, feel like you're role playing as that character, right? So, for example, the character of Tali, who a lot of players I've seen online, the BGG crowd, I mean, say like, oh, Tali's not really that good. Like, why would you take Tali? And I think that they may, and this is fine, right? Like, if you value a certain play style, if you value like Rex's like rune clearing abilities, if you value Garrus's ability to pick off priority targets, like if you value Liara's like crowd control, totally valid to understand like why would, like I don't really understand what Tali's doing on the squad. And the answer, I'm not trying to tell people how to play the game, but there's like three main reasons. Like one, only Shepard can hack. The other three can't hack. So if Tali's not on the squad, we did this intentionally. If Tali's not on the squad, you're gonna miss having like somebody who's not Shepard who can open doors.
Yeah.
And shut down turrets. So, you know, if only Shepard can shut down turrets and open doors, Shepard's gonna be like way out in front doing all that, and Shepard also has to be the one to complete the main objective. So it's like, you know, okay, great. Like you save time by having Rex and Garrus and Liara like blow everybody else up. But if they're spending that time shuffling Shepard from one side of the map to the other to open all the doors and get all the objective stuff, right? So Tali saves you a lot of time in terms of that utility. Also, Tali has 4 shields. Like the highest damage enemy in like level 1, like the very first mission, I'm pretty sure does only 3 damage. You know, Tali has 4 shields. It's like she can tank really hard.
That's funny.
Yeah. And she has abilities which let her replenish shields like outside of the normal shield recharge mechanic, right? And she also has the best area of effect damage in the game. So I just think it's funny because some people are like, I have seen people say like, oh, Tali is so good, but at the same time then they go, I don't really understand why people would pick Liara, and other people will be like, oh, Rex is so good, I don't understand why people would pick Tali. And I think that's really great. Actually, it's really great because we specifically built these characters to cater to people who want a certain fantasy, right? Like, and want a certain like power trip, or like because they love their favorite space portal. And people who love Tali enjoy playing this as Tali, and they feel like she feels very Tali. That's great. And people who love Liara, you know, love playing as Liara and say that she feels so much like Liara. And like, yes, great. So to me, that's sort of more important than balance, quote unquote. You know, are the characters really balanced? No idea. Eric suspects, his instinct says that there is a way to break the game, where if you pick these characters and you pick these skills and you go through these missions, like you will win almost 100% of the time. I'm sure there is. right? Like, we play tested a lot. I play tested a lot, but also you cannot possibly catch everything. I think somebody did the calculations once, and this was for video games, not board games, but they said like 1 hour after the game is out, there will have been more player time than we ever spent in playtesting through all of those years, or something like that. Yeah, so it's like impossible to catch everything, especially in a game that is large and complicated. Even in a game that's small and relatively self-contained. Like, I played this really good video game called Tactical Breach Wizards. If anyone's listening to this, and if you like the kinds of games that we've been talking about, Gloomhaven, Mass Effect, check out Tactical Breach Wizards. Tactical Breach Wizards is a game about a Navy SEAL whose power is he can see 1 second into the future. So it's a turn-based tactics game where if you didn't like how your turn went, you can reset to the start of the turn, because he was like, oh, no, that was just my prediction of how the next turn would go. It's so it avoids that thing where in turn-based games where you're like, you press enter and then something unexpected happens, like, oh my god, I didn't know that was how it works, but your character's already dead. In this game, you just rewind to the start. You know, the characters are all like so well written and so human and so like heartfelt. It's a game about it's a military game, but it's a takedown of military games at the same time. Because the villain in that game would be the protagonist in like a Call of Duty.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And the reason I bring this up is even that game had like 6 or 7 patches to fix all the bugs in it. It's like, yeah, I mean, you took like 4 years to make this game. It's not that long, and there's still so many bugs. Yeah, that's just how it is. I think Gloomhaven, to go back to your example, you know, what would it sold like what, 250,000 copies or something like that?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It'd been out for what, like
7
8 years at this point?
Yeah, 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years at this. Yeah, 7 or 8 years at this point. Isaac told me that, you know, I spoke to him about 6 months ago, but he said that last week we found a typo. You know, 250,000 players, all of us at the dev team, you know, reading through. Nobody found this typo until we sent it for localization, and the localization partner came back with, what does this sentence mean? You know, that's just how it is. It's absolutely impossible. I think there was somebody, I can't remember who it is, but like, if you ever see your own book in a bookstore and you pick it up with pride and you open it to a random page, the first thing you will see is a typo.
That makes sense.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I totally believe you.
How's that gotta be? That's the one part about, like, I don't think I could ever design a board game, because I'm always like the play a game once or a couple times, then on to the next game. But to be able to like play the same game just over and over for you know.
It helped that I really liked it. Well,
you would I would hope so.
Yeah.
But I think even if you could really love a game and still after like the 100th time be like, okay, I'm kind of sick of this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I did get a little lucky in that case, I guess, because Eric also designed it, so I get to play the parts that Eric made too, right?
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, because the things that I did the most was the character ability designs, because I was the one who knew the characters more, and I would propose them to Eric, and he would be like, "Oh, right, yeah, this is good. Let's tweak this a little bit. What if we did this instead?" But you know, within the framework of like the power fantasy that I have for that character, right? There was one time I remember very, very vividly. Like, I was doing a playtest with some Americans, and it was a really good playtest, mind you. It was like we played the game for 3 hours, and then they wanted to spend 3 hours talking about the game. Like that's how you know that it was.
Oh
good,
yeah,
you know,
totally.
yeah, they kept like giving suggestions and coming up with ideas and talking about what they liked and being so excited about it. So like it was like 4 a.m. when I like, you know, finished compiling all, saved everything and closed the prototype, and like, oh, it's 4 a.m. I'm so wired from that playtest. I don't want to sleep yet. I need to play a game and relax. Opens the prototype back up so I can play. Because I inventoried like all the games I want to play right now at 4 in the morning to relax and wind down for bed. Which game do I want to play? And the answer my brain said was Mass Effect. Even though I'd been like, you know, working on it for like a year and a half straight, and I just came off a 6-hour playtest of it. Started to play it again for fun. You know, I wasn't even going into like hunt a bug or like try to solve a problem or like try to figure out this scenario or try to figure out this character ability. No, brain just wanted to go in and play the game for fun, and I did. It was great.
No, not allowed.
Not allowed. No.
But even like, you know, you were talking about the you know, there's probably a combination that will break the game. For someone to spend that much time and effort to kind of go through and know those combinations requires, you know, I mean, that means they've spent that they really enjoy and have spent will then have spent a lot of time and energy into your game. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, totally fine with it.
You know what? Go with it. I don't care.
Yeah. It's sort of outside the scope of what we're doing with the game as designers, right? Like, if you really want to break the game, we can't stop you. Like, you know, like, and I think that trying to put guardrails to stop you actually makes the game worse for like the 99% of the audience who isn't doing that. And a question that I see a lot, and actually I also got when you know, the game was announced and people were asking questions about Mass Effect. It's like, oh, it's cooperative, so what have you done to make sure that alpha players don't ruin the experience? The answer was we actually had done a bunch of stuff, because after every player's turn, the enemies get to go, so you can't really predict the like chain. Like, you can have a plan for the whole turn, and in fact we had a prototype version where you could plan the whole turn and just do it out, but it proved to be too mathy, and players would take too long and it would AP. And it was sort of counter to the vision of the game that we wanted, which is like, you know, play snappy, go with your gut, just do what you feel like your character would do, right? And if you want to have like a cool tactical combat plan, that's great, but that's sort of also a valid way to play it that we intentionally put in. But to fix that quarterbacking thing, we said we had like, you know, randomized enemy thing. We put like multiple competing objectives. Like I said earlier, it's like you want the side quest, you want the Paragon objective, you want all the loot, you want all your characters, blah blah. So there's no correct way to play, right? Like, it's just what you want to do, like in right now in this situation. And it turns out that was enough, because we've never had a problem with people talking about alpha gamers ruining their game. Never heard of it. But also, I do understand why people ask that question, because they're concerned about you know, having the experience ruined for them by somebody. But that's, again, sort of outside the scope of what we're supposed to do as designers, right?
Right.
Because if somebody really wanted to, they could alpha game a multiplayer game. You know, they could take over like a worker placement and say, oh, you should do this or your turn, you should do that or your turn, that's optimum. And they could, if they really wanted to, tell everybody what to do and alpha game a game that's not cooperative either. And the solution is not up to us as designers to implement even more and more like anti, you know, alpha player solutions, which would water down the game and make it worse for everybody else. You know, it's kind of similar to what I was saying above. It's like, you know, for we have a vision of a game we want to make, and we execute on that vision. And even though some players are disappointed, understandably, because if I wasn't making this game, I would want $100 box too, right? But yeah, so I just think that sometimes it is not possible to cater to everybody. And what we have tried to do is we have tried to cater to our core audience and try to make the game as good as we can inside of that thing. A phrase that I came up with randomly while I was a little bit ranting about alpha players and how designers are expected to solve them, it's like, nobody expects video game designers to cater to players who smash their PlayStation with a hammer. I don't understand why board game designers are expected to cater to people who insist on ruining the social experience with their ego. You know. This reminds me of a funny story. Sorry?
No, I said no. It's fair.
Yeah, that's a funny story. We first demoed the game. I want to say it was UK Games Expo. I think the very first public demo of the game. So the publisher Modifius was there. They're UK based, so they were at UK Games Expo and they did the whole weekend demoing. And obviously, it was the first time the game had been shown to the public, so the whole team was like, "How's it gonna go? How's it gonna go?" And everybody loved it. Everybody who saw it loved it. Everybody who knew about Mass Effect, anybody who didn't know about Mass Effect, they're like, "Oh wow, this is so fun! This is so smooth! This is so fast! This is so it really feels like Mass Effect." Except one guy, and he said, "I don't know about the co-op part of this game. I think that it would be better if I just got to tell all of the other players what to do. And I don't think I will be purchasing this because I don't think I'll get to do that." I'm like, okay, that's nice. It's nice to see that solipsism is still being embraced in society, I guess, at least in some corners of it. That was the only negative feedback we got. I'm like, well, I don't know what we can do for you, buddy. This is not quite the game that you want, I guess.
Well, no, you just play it solo.
Right.
That's the answer. Just
yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like, my project manager Gavin, who was demoing the game, I'm pretty sure Gavin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Gavin said, "Yeah, just do it solo." And the guy said, "No. I want to tell other people what to do," or something like that. It's been a while, but yeah, I think specifically the bossing other people around was part of the experience.
That guy sounds like a ton of fun to play with right there.
I totally understand why some people would prefer to solo a co-op game, right? Because they want to 100% efficiency. They want everything to go exactly how they want it to go, and that's totally valid. If that's how you want to play it, that's how you want to play it. I get it. I think, however, when you're playing with other people, you do have to, have some. Like, I've never told anybody how to play this game. Especially the playtesting, you don't do it. But even when the game's out and I've shown it to I think maybe 50 people at this point. I've never told them what to do with their turn, and somehow it's still all turned out fine. We've never lost the game, except when Eric and I played, and I intentionally played really, really loose, and we died. Because Eric was here, right? And we played the game once, and we died. Because I was playing loose on purpose. It's like, okay, how far can we push this thing?
Right. It's like stress testing it.
No, it's just for fun.
Well, I know, but like,
yeah. No, but I understand what you're saying. But in terms of the other players, obviously the thing is, like, I haven't played with anyone who was like trolling or just like, they all cared about their turn. Like, they all cared about the outcome. They all, wanted to do stuff that would be good for their characters and that'd be good for the outcome of the mission. I have made suggestions. I've seen people like, they do that thing. They get that face where they're like, there's 4 or 5 options, and then they're like blue screening on the inside. I said, if I can suggest, if you want to do this, you can do this. If you would prefer this, you can do that, or you can do this third thing. I would give them the option, so I narrow it down for them, and then, okay, then they pick one, But I didn't tell them, oh, you got to go here, I've reminded the table, like, our objective is that, So just in case you wanna go for that. And sometimes they'd be like, oh yeah, right, we're supposed to do that because I got carried away killing things. Bam. Like, I get it,
Yeah, I'm like that with co-op games where it's like, yeah, you do what you want to do. Did you know about this thing? Like, just also pointing
Yes.
more of like pointing out to make sure, like, oh, you may have missed it, but that enemy moved 2 spaces closer to you, and you're not going to be in a good place, kind of thing. Of like, oh, did you remember that this person's there or something?
Yeah. Like, they're fully engaged, but they're fully engaged, like, maybe they were reading their abilities on their character sheet to try and figure out exactly how they want to combo the thing. Or maybe they were, like, focused on this part of the board, they're staring at it, while other players are doing their turn. So it's easy to miss stuff, right?
Right.
It's not that they miss something because they don't care. So for all of the people I play with, and I've been pretty grateful about this, okay, self-selecting audience, because these are people who volunteer to play the game. So they're already interested, right?
Yeah.
But still, even when they're in the game, they're, like, fully invested. Every time. And I've been really happy to see that. It's really, really, really grateful, honestly, that people seem to enjoy this game so much.
So has there been talk about a sequel?
Oh, the magic E word. All I can say is I would love to do nothing but make Mass Effect games for, like, the next 15, 20 years. Like, I'm happy. I'm at a point. I'm 38 years old. I'm at a point in my career where I'd be happy to coast. At this point. But I can't say anything about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Like, I can say that. I would love to do nothing but expansions and sequels and spin-offs, and, like, Mass Effect, the fleet combat game, Mass Effect, the storytelling narrative simulator in which you finally get to kiss Garrus, like 20 more boxes in this line, just with, like, different characters and maps and scenarios. I would love to do that, but we'll see.
So if someone wanted to follow you to find out about what else is coming down the line, where would be the best place to do that?
I'm mostly on Blue Sky right now, as Ithala, Ithayla. Or you can search Mass Effect board game and you'll find me screaming about it, which I do pretty much constantly.
I love the post you did recently where it was about self-promotion, and you're like,
Yeah.
my name on here is literally by the Mass Effect board game, and I still have friends be like, wait, what?
As a result of that post, which I made last night, as of me recording this, like, this is the morning I made it last night, at least 15 people have messaged me or replied saying, wait, there's a Mass Effect game. But those are people I don't know. Those are people I don't know. They found out as a result of that post.
Right.
Which is so cool and so funny to me as well. Definitely made a couple of sales. Like, just before I got on this call, I checked my messages, and somebody had DM'd me saying, hey, I didn't want to say this publicly in case my girlfriend sees it, but she loves Mass Effect, and I'm buying this for her as a surprise. And I'm like,
winning!
That's so cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and talking with us.
Yeah, I feel like I did a lot of talking, but thanks for having me.
That's what I'm here for. People can hear me talk all the rest of the show.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much, Chris. And if you're listening, I would be very, very grateful if you checked out Mass Effect. And let me know what you think. I would love to hear your comments. Even if you didn't like it, I would love to know why. Thanks so much.
All right. That's what happens when I mute the mixer for the stream. But all right, yes, that was me talking to Calvin about the Mass Effect board game. Go check it out on Modifius's website. It's only like $50, although you can spend more. It's like $300 for like a huge box of the minis. So I guess they got the best of both worlds there. Of you can get the huge thing of minis. I'm assuming like it probably comes with cardboard standees or something, and then you can get the minis as an upgrade or something. So with that, Philip, I think it's time for us to get out of here.
That sounds like a plan.
It's there.
And that's been our show. We want to thank Calvin for giving that interview to Chris. And we want to thank you guys in the chat for putting up with us. If you like what you see, you got to check us out, boardsandswords.com/live. That's got the link to the streaming channel plus the schedule. And boardsandswords.com itself has the links to all the randomness that Chris and I have been putting up with each other for over a decade. So check it all out.
All right. Let us know who else we need to get on the show. Feedback at boardsandswords.com. Let us know if you loved the show. Let us know if you hate it. As I try and bring up the show notes real quick. And let us know who we need to have on next. Who is next to fall under the lens of hearing of
Fall under our spell?
Our spell. There you go. That's what I didn't. Whatever. Anyways, let us know.
It was on Friday, so you know.
Feedback at boardsandswords.com. You can find me on Blue Sky at boardsandswords.com. Boardsandswords.com for links to everything else like our Patreon. Check it out. Help support the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another show. We're gonna have Breeze on from he designed the board game Aegis. You remember that one I was telling you about that had the combining robots in card form? Where you could make each one was like the AEGIS. So he's going to be on.
Okay, gotcha.
He's going to be on the show, and he was a lively person in person. So I can only imagine the kind of energy he's going to bring onto the show. So that's going to be awesome. So in the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and mine apparently is that I suck at Gloomhaven. Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week it'll be in person, so we won't have to do the playing. I know that can kind of be a little bit boring sometimes, especially when you're watching a stream to watch a recorded interview and you don't get to have the feedback and everything that the live chat. So I'm working on it. It's funny. Thankfully, I got Breeze to come on the show because my schedule is empty. I'm in the I've sent out emails and I haven't had a whole lot of responses back. So now's a great time if you need to suggest people because I'm working on it. So, and just because you've suggested somebody and they haven't come on the show doesn't mean that I haven't tried to reach out to somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down. Thank you all, and we will see you patrons in the bonus bits.